Welcome, teens, to the Module 1 DPS Handbook. A lot of teenagers came and told me, hey, Coach, in your chapter, we got to read that whole thing. Could you just teach it? And so basically, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We are going to teach Module 1 so you don't have to sit there and read the whole book. Now, in about 2 or 3 slides down the road, I do have the official DPS book. You'll be able to take a picture of it, download it to your phone or whatever. If you want to do like the first 20 questions, I'll talk about that in a minute. And, it's extra work, little stuff. I know I got lots of kids that like to do a little extra work, but then I got some kids that just watch me teach, go take the quiz. Start with the DPS Handbook modular. So we're going to go over the DPS Handbook, all right? Once you finish taking this, you'll do the DPS quiz, and then you will take the permit test. Now, once you take the permit test, right after that, there'll be a video on how to get your permit certificate. So there's 2 certificates, okay? 2. One for the permit, mom, dad, guardian, whatever signs. And then when you finish everything, you'll get another certificate for the final stuff. Now, on the final certificate, sort of when you get down there, don't do modular 12 until you've had a permit for 8 days, and then do the rest. So right when you get that permit, finish the rest of these chapters. Get the chapter work done, because then all you got to do is your drive times, and you just sit and drive, okay? But if you haven't gotten your permit and you're still doing the rest of these chapters, okay, or modulars, stop at 12 till you get a permit. Once you get that permit, then do 12, because I need that permit emailed back to me. And we'll talk about that later on, okay? Basically, make sure you watch the intro video, which I think you've done already. Make sure your parents have watched the parent meeting video. That is basically just information that they need to know for them, okay? So let's get started. So right here is the DPS handbook. Okay. So basically, in the next slide, I got a QR code of it if you want to take a picture. And I would probably do maybe 1 through 20 here. I think this is pretty good. This question 3 here, I'm going to kind of circle that one. Okay. It talks about restrictions. If you go past, I think this says page 80, but I think it's 83 on the download. And if you go past that page, after these questions are all the restriction codes that you need to know, okay? I think the real one you only need to know right now is the LOFS age 21 or older. So anyway, it has restriction codes. You don't necessarily have to go to chapter 1. The cool thing about it is we give you the chapters in each page. You know where to go to find these questions. So this is extra work. This is not that you have to do this, but some people like to do it and kind of study a little bit more and be more thorough with it. It will definitely help you on the permit test. All right, so here, pull out your cameras, take a picture of this, unless you're using your phone, but take a picture of this QR code. This QR code will be the DPS handbook. You'll be able to download it on your phone or at your computer at home. And I would say maybe do the first 20 in the back. I think it's on page 83. Again, this is optional whether you want to do this or not. I will say it's extra reading. I'm not going to go over every single page in the DPS book when I go over it, but it is extra stuff that you have. I will say chapter 5 is all the signs. I would maybe go in there and look at all the signs. If there's a sign you didn't know what it was, when you look at it, you didn't know what it meant. Like obviously, if we see a red sign, octagon, that means what? Stop. But there's some signs that you just might want to glance through those signs in chapter 5 and just see if there's a sign you don't know what it is. And if you don't, read the definition to that sign. So that would be kind of cool. All right, more stuff that we're going to cover. We're going to cover all the chapter work here. All right, first chapter. Your license to drive. All right, your license to drive. Who may drive in the state of Texas? Obviously, Texas residents, new Texas residents, Any person while driving and operating any road machine, farm tractor, okay, non-residents who are at least 16 of age and possess a valid license, okay, military, all right, Texas of driver's licenses, learner's license is known as instructor permit. So definitions here I may talk about, okay. One of the definitions is people know as a permit or learner's license, okay, or learner's permit, all right. You would officially have one if you go to the DPS and take a picture and a thumbprint. So when you take my permit test and get my certificate, that is not the permit. You will have to go to the DPS, take a picture and a thumbprint. Your permit will look almost like your mom and dad's license, all right? To get a license, you get, or at least a permit, you got to be at least 15 years of age and ride with someone over 21. That's what LOFS stands for. License only, front seat, age 21 or older, okay, can ride with you, and that's your restriction. Okay, any student enrolled in a public, private, or homeschool can attend at least 80 days can get a VOE, okay? So basically, stuff you would have to take to the DPS is a birth certificate, social security card, a VOE from the high school to actually get the permit, all right? A lot of people have asked me this question, okay? Coach, how do I get a hardship? So right here, if you download that book, I think it's on page, it may be a move back, maybe page 2 or 3. But if you're interested in a hardship, maybe you live out in the middle of nowhere, a bus doesn't come to you, and mom and dad's tired of taking you, you could get a hardship. One of the key things of the hardship is to finish this entire class, okay? And then get your permit. Well, at least get your permit first, then finish the entire class, and then, you know, drive those 30 hours that you have. So once you've done that, you'll get another certificate from me. You turn that certificate in, and then you can ask for hardship. So could you get a license at 15 or 15 and a half? You could through hardship. When you go down to the DPS to get your permit, you can ask them about hardship, okay? But basically, if there's a bus that comes to you and picks you up at school, it's sort of hard to get that hardship, okay? We're talking about provisional license. Provisional license means this is the age from 16 to 18. So you're under some restrictions. One of the restrictions is you can't drive hours at 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. This is when you're driving by yourself. You got your real license, but they call it a provisional license. All right. So just kind of be aware of that. And, you know, basically that's, you know, pretty much this part right here. And I will also have that in the reading part when we do the reading part. A Class C license. Okay, so let's go through our classes. A Class A, right here are classes. Okay, so let's go with the easy one. Class M, obviously, is motorcycle. Class C is what you're going to get. Class B is a bus or just a truck without a trailer. Okay, it can also be a limo. All right, or a big RV that's a class, you know, B RV. All right. Class A is you're pulling a rig. Okay, you got a tractor and a rig. So be aware of that. All right. And then those are CDL licenses. We do offer our CDL ELDT class. We do offer that if you're interested or you know some people that want to do that. We do offer a CDL online course where you're going to go get the permit. We do not offer the drive times at this time. We usually punt on that and put you with someone that does the drives and does the actual driving our CDL test. So just kind of be aware of that. All right, so basically those are your classes, and if you go a little bit further, it talks about Class A, and as we've gone through most of those. All right. Okay, more information here about a Class A driver. It's $24 for the license. You must have a license for 6 years. Okay, as we keep going through, talks a little bit more. A single driver with gross weight of 26,000 pounds. So basically, if you got a truck and you got a trailer, and on that trailer and the truck included weighs more than 26,000 pounds, you must have a Class B license or Class A. Okay, so kind of be aware of that. Now, I've heard of people getting a motorcycle license at 15. So if you go down here, way down here at the bottom part, it says minimum age. A motorcycle person with the completion of driver's education can get approved for a motorcycle license. A moped for a 15-year-old completion of driver's ed of 32 hours completing this driver's ed, they can actually go get a basically a moped or motorcycle as well. So gradually, at the end of this course, we'll talk about organ donations. All right, where you can, it's called DonateLifeToTexas.org. So, like, if you were to die in a car wreck, they could take whatever they need to use for people that don't have, a liver or this or eyes or whatever. So, you will probably be asked about whether you want to be an organ donator when you fill out your application to go, and that's totally up to you. Talk to your parents about that if that's something you want to do. Okay? The fees at the DPS to get a permit usually is anywhere from, I don't know, I've heard $15 to $30 to get your permit. So just kind of be aware of that when you go down there. All right, driver's education, individuals less than 25 years old are required successful complete driver. So what we're talking about is, even though you're taking this as a teenager or you're taking this as an adult, there's 3 classifications. There are the people from 15 to 17 and a half, okay, up to 18 have to take basically a teenage driver's ed course. 32 hours, 30 hours of driving, must hold a permit for 6 months. Now, those people that are 18 and older, so 18 to 24, have to take a 6-hour course. All right, that adult course. You may be taking this right now, but it's a 6-hour course. It's required by state law. And then once you reach 25, if you're over 25, you do not have to take an adult course, but taking this adult course or teen course, whatever, basically will help you not have to take the permit test at the DPS. You'll take it right here. And that's why most people do the teen, the adult, and so forth. So be aware of that. That's basically what it is. Now, once you're done with that, before you go to the DPS, when you get your license, not a permit. Again, let me change that. If you're an adult, you will need this. If you're a teen going to get your permit, you will not need this until you take your final driving test. Okay? Now, remember, for all teens, when you go to the DPS, get a permit. For all people 18 to 24 or older to 99, when you go to the DPS, get a permit. Do not leave that office until you get a permit. Okay? Now, the reason I bring this up for the 18 and older people is sometimes they go in there and sign up for a test. They can't get a test for 2 months out, and then they call me up to do the driving test, which I do in lots of cities. Okay? The problem is they didn't get a permit. They just got a little receipt. You know you have a permit when you go to the DPS and you get a piece of paper with your picture on it. Okay? You will see what that looks like when you go to fill out the permit test. All right? So be aware of that. People over 18, over 25 don't need any requirement, but it's good to take the course. And then everybody will have to do the impact video. Again, teenagers, if you're hearing me on the impact video, do not do this impact video until you have 1 or 2 weeks to go when you're going to take the driving test with me. Do not watch this impact for the permit. You'll watch it about 3 or 4 weeks before you're taking the driving test with me. And then if you text me and you're doing the test with me, I'll show you how to do that. And at the end of the course, it has a video on all that. So don't let me confuse you on that. So I'm just going through some requirements. Okay, you will do a vision test up there. So I always tell people to take your glasses off, try the vision test without your glasses. If you choke, put the glasses on, and then do it with the glasses, okay? All right, so basically here are examples. I don't know if you can see this, okay? Maybe you look too small. You can blow it up on an iPad or whatever. Here's the terms of Class A, okay? Here's the terms of Class B. These are the size trucks, you know, dump truck, cement truck, blah, blah, blah. And then Class C right here. Notice it's a car pulling a trailer. Remember, the car and the trailer cannot weigh more than 26,000 pounds. And then M is obviously the motorcycle, okay? So be aware of that stuff. Just looking through here, any other questions? Talks about right-of-way. We will talk about right-of-way here in a minute. Okay, penalties without a license. Okay, this talks about first conviction is a fine up to $200. Second conviction is a fine up to $200. And driving without a license or without insurance is a Class A misdemeanor. It's about a $4,000 or more fine. So you don't want to be driving without insurance. So here we talked about these codes. Okay, so if you go to the DPS book there, you can look up most of these. I'm not going to go over every one of them. Again, really the only one that you are concerned about is B, which is a licensed operator over 16. Now, I've had a lot of people go down to the DPS because they're over 18. They went and got a permit, and in the mail they get this piece of this hard copy that says driver's license. Okay, it says driver's license. Okay, what you're looking for on the back of that permit, that hard copy, is it'll say Class B. It'll say LO, I'm not real good with this pen here, FS, okay? Your job is to get rid of this, okay? If that is on your permit, if you even get your real license, look on the back to make sure that is removed. If it is not removed, you have a permit, not a license. The goal is to get rid of that restriction. When you come and take the driving test with me, I remove that restriction. So be aware of that. All right? Well, not me personally, but the DPS will remove that when you take another picture and turn in the paperwork and turn in the DPS paperwork. Okay? You can do a replacement card if you lose them. My son basically lost his permit like 3 or 4 times. Okay? I will say here, this is key. Take a picture of your permit, okay? My daughter got smart on this. She had a picture of her permit, all right? So what she did is she lost it. So on that picture permit, it has a DD number. It's a very long number. What she did is the permit or her license was under my address. She went to Baylor. She had a house there in Baylor. She lost her license, and then all she did is go in there and did a change of address to that one and got a new hard copy with that address on it. See what I'm saying? So take a picture of that when you get your, even when you get your permit, and then when you get your license, because that DD number changes every time you do a new picture. So be aware of that. Okay, more information there about the ID card, so forth, and you can go online and do all this. All right. You'll fill out an application. I didn't know this. There are 2 applications. We figured this out. There's an application for 15 to 17 and a half year old people. There's another application for 17 and a half and 18 and above people, okay? 2 separate applications. When you get your application to fill it out, read it to make sure you have the right one, because if not, you got to read it. What I do is I just go to the DPS. I don't fill one out online. I just go to the DPS, fill it out, and then basically they'll give me the appropriate one based on my age. All right? Okay, more laws here. Driving while intoxicated, alcohol days will get your license suspended. Okay, having a fake ID will get your license suspended. Okay, repeat violation of traffic laws will get your license suspended. Okay, fleeing or attempting a police officer, enforcement officer will not get your license suspended until you're found guilty, but it is part of one of those. So minor possession could get your license suspended and so forth. So just kind of be aware of those. Habitualous, reckless driving will get your license suspended. We talked about that. Cancellations. So down here is court order and suspensions. What happens being on drugs, DUI, DWI, so on and so forth. Okay. Denials. You could get denial of suspensions of a duplicate license, which is fake ID. Okay. Physically, mentally able to drive. That's someone that, I think once you're, I don't know, 82, something like that, you got to go back and take a driving test each time, every 2 years. All right. Delinquent child support, that won't be y'all. So I'm just kind of go drug offense here, could get your license suspended. So just other stuff in there. Okay. Talks about payment surcharges and so forth. We're going to kind of go through that when you in the next video later on. Okay, so now let's go through some questions you might have on the permit test and explain them in detail. Okay, what is the minimum age at which you could get a Class C driver's education? Now, I'm not going to answer this right away. I want you to pause the video and think about that. What should be? Okay. Now, this is without driver's education or being hardship case. Okay. You got to be age 15. You get a permit day 15. Then you hold that permit all the way to you're 16, and then you can get your license. Okay. So it talks about it right there. All right. 18 and older. 16, completion approval of driver's education course. Okay, and then 15, you can do a hardship. Now, I will say, you 15, 16, 17-year-olds, you don't have a full license when you get that license by yourself, okay? You cannot drive the hours of 12 a.m. to 5 a.m., okay? You cannot drive more than one friend with you, okay? You cannot drive using text. It has to be hands-free. Cannot be talking, holding the phone up to your thing. Your ear. So be aware of that. These are, you must drive with someone over 21 with a permit. So be aware of that. What is the maximum fine for a first conviction of a driving without a license? It's usually $200. When you're taking a permit test, a lot of the penalties are $200 or $2,000. Okay, $200 or $2,000 usually. Now, the only time $200 or $2,000 is not in there, obviously if it's a repeat fine, okay? Obviously if we're talking about a minor, okay? So usually your fines when you're answering the permit test are $200 or $2,000 or the cheapest fine. So if $200 or $2,000 is not in there, it's usually the cheapest fine. So that'll help you when you do your permit test and so forth, because there's so many fines in there, you're not going to remember all of them. Even the officers that give you a ticket don't even remember all the fines. All right. What type of restriction will be placed on your license? Okay. Basically, you must. You could have one where you have to wear glasses. Okay. Corrective lenses. This one will be on everybody's license until they take a driving test. Okay. And then F is must hold valid learner's license until 6 months. Until death. And what that means is there'll be a must hold date. So if you're 16 and you get your permit, okay, you get your license. No, I'm sorry. You get your permit, you will have to hold that permit for 6 months. So that's why we tell everybody start at 15 So if you're starting at 15 and let's say 5 months, the must hold date won't ever matter to you. You'll already be, when you turn 16, you'll be able to take it. So you'll see it on the back of the permit. I'll gradually, I think on the next screen over, I'll have a picture of a license. All right. So those are your restrictions that you'll have once you get the permits. What action should you take if you fail to receive a renewal notice card and stuff? Guys, think about this. You didn't get a notice. It is your responsibility, okay, to renew your license. You will be amazed how many 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old people come to me, take my adult course, all right, have to renew their license, have to take a 6-hour course or driver's ed because they let their license expire. What I would do is when you get the permit, look at the EXP date, go to your phone, set a date 1 month before that, and say, license expire, go renew it. It is the best thing to do in your phone, okay? Besides taking a picture of it, all right? So this is answered in chapter 1 on page 10. Is your responsibility to renew your license. Renewal is sent. Even if the renewal is not sent, it's up to you. Now, I know the pages say page 10 when you go to the DPS book. They may be, because they've added more pages to this, so it may be page 10, it may be page 9, it may be page 11. So be aware of that if you decide to go read more on the DPS book. Describe the types of equipment Texas law specifically forbids passengers and cars driven. The answer is the top of the chapter, page 19. The following equipment is considered unsafe and not allowed on your vehicle. A red light showing in front of your, like you're an emergency vehicle, a bell, a siren, exhaust, okay? Okay, a bell, a siren, exhaust, emergency vehicle, anything extending in the 3 inches beyond the left side. All right, that you see what I'm saying? 3 inches. This is a question that's going to be on the DPS test. So right here, this is a question right here. All right. Flashing red lights in front, except a radar device manufacturer used, intended, you know, a radar device. Maybe mom and dad have a radar device, kitchens and things, to maybe unscramble radars detecting you speeding. So be aware of these things. These are things that you're not allowed in your car or on your car. Driving under what conditions may have your license suspended? Okay. A license may be suspended for different violations. Reckless driving, that's usually a test question. Habitual reckless driving, you're trying to kill someone with your car. All right. Violations for a felony or dangerous examples, DUI, drug offense, racing on public roadway, overtaking a school bus, and fake ID. I know that one's not on there, but I know that is one of the questions that's been asked on the permit test as well. What qualifications must a driver teach a beginner? Okay, you must be 21 years old and you must have a license. So when you're driving with your permit, you got to have someone in the front seat that is 21 years old, and they can't be intoxicated. They can't be passed out. I remember a girl telling me one time, a long time ago, she says, Coach, is it okay? I have my permit. Can I drive my dad, you know, home from the bar? Okay, because he's drunk and passed out. No, he or she has to be coherent sitting in that front seat. Right? Could mom and dad be in the back seat while you take your girlfriend to prom at 15 years old? Nope. If you're going to have to do it, you're going to have to go you, and then basically the girlfriend, and then mom and or dad in the front seat. So just be aware of that. All right. A person under 18, Windows is to provide a license expired, and a provisional license will expire at 18. So you 16-year-olds, all license expire at 18. Okay? So if you, mom and dad, don't want to get your license, okay, at 18, they don't think you're good enough. I don't know what the reasons are, whatever. Maybe they don't want to pay for insurance. I don't know. Your license expires at 18. Now, this is to the parents. Parents, I know sometimes you don't want to pay the insurance costs. Just sign a note with your insurance and say, hey, I don't want my kid driving my car, but I would allow the kid to get the permit in the hand after they finish all the appropriate stuff for this reason, if they can drive, okay? Because they may need to drive you who's passed out because, you had a heart attack or something like that, okay? So it's good to have that on hand, and you can work out whatever negotiations you want to work with insurance. I've had parents tell me, I don't want to get my kid a license right now because I don't want to pay the insurance bill. I would just do it so they have it and just tell your insurance they're not driving your car, okay? To what agency and within what time period should they change the driver's address? Here it is. You have 30 days. So you have 30 days prior to your expiration. Once it expires, you have 30 days after that. Once that 30 days is up, boom, you're done. You got to take driver's ed all over again. And if you're over 18, guess what? You're taking my 6-hour course. If you're over 25, guess what? You're taking my 6-hour adult course. So be aware of that. That's probably why some of you are taking this course right now, is because you let your license expire. Okay? Don't let that expire. Set an alarm on your phone to go off at that time of that EXP. I would set it for like 60 days because you get busy and stuff. So be aware of that. Okay? What circumstances do you need possible loss of license? I've already kind of told you that about losing your license. You got to have it on you at all times. If you show up for drive times with me, you better have it on you. If you don't, I have a no drive fee. I will not let you drive with that. So be aware of that. All right. All right, guys, what is the difference of classes requirements of each? Obviously, we have Class A, 18-year-old. Class B, you must be 18-year-olds. Class C, hardship, 16-year-olds, 18 standard. Class M could be a 15-year-old to get a moped or a motorcycle, as well as a 16-year-old. So those are different classifications. All right, now let's go to Chapter 2, Inspections and Responsibilities. All right, inspections. All motor vehicles must be inspected. Now, there is a new law that actually happened January of 2025. You don't have to get an inspection for your car. All right, they're leaving it up to you to decide on that. But you do need an inspection sticker. So all you do is you just go down to the courthouse, renew or whatever. Like some of the big cities like Harris County, you can actually go to an HEB or Kroger's to renew your sticker. You just got to update your sticker. They will give you a ticket for updated sticker, okay? But you don't need an inspection to renew your stuff. So that is a brand new state law starting in 2025. All right, equipment you must not have. Okay, we talked about that, not having, the equipment on the cars and, a red light, a siren, those fluorescent lights around the wheels, those are illegal. Now, you see a truck driving down, the reason they didn't get a ticket is because the cop or the officer didn't want to give them a ticket that time, but those are illegal. All right. Vehicles not required to register inspection, obviously farm tractors, power sweepers, electric bicycles, and so forth. Describe equipment required for passengers of state law. Okay, this is required. You must have brake. When you come and do a driving test with me, I'm checking your brakes, your lights, your horn. Okay, but I'm not checking the muffler, exhaust system, or anything like that. You must have a front license plate and a back license plate. Okay, you must have rear, both mirrors. I had one guy show up for a test, and his mirror was just dangling there. I can't pass that car, so he hopped in my car to do the driving test. All right, a rear view mirror, safety belts. You can't have bald tires. It's actually illegal to have slicks, what they race with. And they say a fuel cap, but that's wrong because my Ford truck doesn't have a fuel cap. It has a cap, but you just stick the thing through the little hole in the cap. So that's something that's new. What is the purpose for the exhaust emission system? To reduce pollution. I don't want to get into detail because I explained it in lesson 4 when we go over the car information. But there is a muffler, and then there's what they call a Cadillac converter. And supposedly the Cadillac converter diffuses all that and helps with emission and so forth. What is the maximum number of inches lawfully allowed to extend it? Basically, we're talking about, your mirrors are really only 3 inches. But I actually had a 250 truck where the mirrors, you push a button and they extend even further. Obviously, if you have a bigger truck and you're pulling something, you can extend those mirrors. But normally you cannot have anything more than 3 inches from the car, which is pretty much everybody's rear view mirror. All right. In addition, what new equipments are required, manufacturers in 1968, and that was pretty much exhaust, air pollution, and seat belts were in all cars at that time. All right, chapter 3, safety responsibilities. Basically, in this chapter, we're going to talk about liability insurance. Some people have insurance, some people don't, but the minimum insurance you need by state law is liability insurance. This covers the other car in a wreck, everybody's injuries, but it does not cover fixing your car. So you will have to show that. The penalty could be up to $100 to $300 and up to a Class A misdemeanor. So if you don't have insurance. So be aware of that. You got to have insurance. Okay, when are you required to show proof of responsibility? When you renew your license, when you renew your inspection sticker, or anytime you're driving and the officer pulls you over. They can just pull you over just to see if you have good insurance. All right? So be aware of that. You must show at least liability. You could have full coverage and the other stuff. When needed, how many other shows of proof of financial responsibility? Physical standard insurance company. Okay, you can now use your phone and show a picture of your insurance now on a wireless device. All right, chapter 4. I will admit there wasn't much in chapter 3. So chapter 4, right away, the good stuff. This is the stuff I like. Okay, we're going to talk about right-of-way intersections. Okay, and I will get into this a little bit. If you're doing my adult class, I get deep into this like Module 3 or Module 4. If you're in my teen class, this would be like Modular 3. I really get in deep in it, okay? But let's talk about right-of-way. Right-of-way. When you're talking about right-of-way, it's always the first person that gets there first at the intersection. So if I get there first, and then this car pulls up, and basically I get the right to go, okay? Right-of-way is kind of given, not taken. So kind of be aware of that, all right? Okay? So now, get my hands here. Let's do it this way. This is the right of way here, and another guy comes up right here. So just kind of be aware of that, If both tie, it's the right of way on the right. It's right of way on the, okay? If it's a tie, it's right of way on the right. Okay? If it's tie and they're facing each other, if they're both going straight, they'll just both go straight, okay? But if someone's turning, the person going straight has the right of way. And then we could get further in there, dirt road, paved road, multiple lane road, all that kind of stuff. So just kind of be aware of right of way as we get in there. And right of way on freeway, everybody getting on the freeway has the right of way. Everybody getting off the freeway. No. Everybody on the freeway has the right of way. Anybody getting off the freeway has the right of way. All those lanes of the median. So be aware of those right of ways. Railroad crossing is basically when there's a bar or an X. Railroad crossing when there's an X. basically what we're talking there, guys, is that means a yield sign. You must yield to the train, okay? Trains are too big, they will run you over. So just kind of be aware. If the crossbar's down, I don't care if the train's messed up. I don't care if it's been blinking for 2 days. You cannot go around it, all right? Yield of right-of-way emergencies, that's on the last one. Basically, we're just stopping where we're at. You don't necessarily have to pull to the right, but if you're in multiple lanes, pull to the right and then stop, okay? School bus now, if you go around that school bus when it has red lights or the flag sticking out, the stop flag sticking out, it is up to anywhere from a $500 to $1,200 fine. So who yields the right of way? So we're going to talk a little bit about this, chapters 4. You should slow down and stop if necessary. Yield the right of way to vehicles and pedestrians and bicycles. Okay? Pedestrians always have the right of way. When is it necessary to stop before proceeding? When you overtake a school bus loading or unload children? Always. You always stop. When those flashing red lights are out, you need to stop and when the sign's out. You cannot go around it. The only time that would ever happen if you could go around or they let you go is if the bus driver flags you on. But you better make sure you have something of that you know the bus driver waved you on. 2 cars meet at the intersection of a 2-lane road on a 4-lane road, which has the right of way. So let's draw a little picture here, okay? Hopefully you can see this picture. So I have a roadway right here, okay? And then I have a car right here. So I have a red car right here. And then we'll go with a purple car right here, okay? So who has the right of way if both these guys tie? The person on the right. So the red car is on the right. This right goes all the way around that way. You see, this guy's, it's the nearest right here. So he has to get the car right away up to the other car. So kind of be aware of that on right away. Again, I always say right away is given, not taken. All right? When 2 cars meet at the intersection, when 2 cars meet at the intersection on a 4-lane road, which one has to yield the right of the road on a 2-lane road? So I got a 4-lane road and I got a 2-lane road. So when they come up, who wins? Okay? So who gets to go first if the light is just blinking? The person on the 4-lane right of way has the right of way over the 2-lane road. And then the 2-lane road has the right of way over the parking lot. Okay? The 2-lane or cement paved road has the right of way over the dirt road. So be aware of this. If you're driving and hear a siren, what should you do? Just pull to the right. But if there is no right, you just stop where you are and let them pass by. Okay? What should you do when coming into on-town streets, private alley, driveway? You have to yield the right of way to the main street. Okay? So if you're a private roadway, building, driveway, so forth. What precautions should you take under controlled intersections? Where in the world would I find an uncontrolled intersection? That's an intersection without a stop sign or a yield sign. You'll find these in parking lots, okay? You'll find them in parking lots. So when approaching this type of intersection, yield the right of way, follow the rule. Person on my right, person going straight, okay? So forth, all right? If the road you are at the right is cleared approaching vehicles far enough away from the intersection to make sure it's safe, proceed. Since there are not any traffic control devices, make sure you have no approaching from the left. I went to a city, I think it's in Weimar. And in Weimar, there are no stop signs. It is all yield signs. And let me tell you, when a person rolls through that intersection, just kind of rolls through the stop sign, you're wondering if there's anybody else coming because you didn't know if they see. Still doesn't matter. The yield sign yields to the person that doesn't have a sign. So kind of be aware of that. That's the same way if the light goes out. If the light goes out and starts blinking, you got to do these road, it's treated just like a stop sign. All right, so be aware of these things. Chapter 5, okay, this is what I talked about. You might want to go to chapter 5 of your DPS book and look at these signs. So be aware of that, all right? Okay. Traffic signs, we talked about blinking signs. This sign right here, guys, this yellow blinking light is probably the worst sign there is, okay? So be very, very cautious around this sign, because a lot of people, the other sign usually has a stop blinking red light, and they slow down and see that you're slowing down thinking you're going to stop. They take off, you go through it, and then bam, you have a big wreck. They are trying their best to get rid of the yellow blinking lights. All right, there's your colors of the descriptions we talked about. Red is always stop, green always yield, blue motor service guide, yellow general warning sign, black is a regulated thing, like your speed limit signs are black and white, okay, or white and black. White is obviously regulation. Orange is construction. Orange reflective is talks about construction coming up. And then brown is your public, recreation, or science guides. And then the shapes, we know that the octagon is stop. The rectangle is generally a guide sign. The upside down triangle is a yield sign. This triangle here is warning. A diamond shape is always warning signs. A vertical sign, rectangle, is usually a warning sign, like a speed limit. Okay. I call it the baseball home plate, okay? I don't know what you want to call that, the house, all right? That is always school crossing. And then a yellow is, a circle is always a railroad track. Now, in international areas, a circle is always a stop sign, all right? So be aware of that. Now, these are the different signs that we have as we go through there and stuff. So just, what I would say, guys, is just open that DPS book, go through each one of these signs, and basically just look at them. If you can't tell me what that sign is, I want you to look at it. Now, when you take the signs test, it is going to talk about some of these signs right here. Look at this. See that right there? That is a turn, not a curve. This sign down here is a curve, not a turn. So be aware of that, all right? So we'll go through some of these signs, but I would suggest open up that DPS handbook, go to chapter 5, and just glance at all these signs and look at them and see if you know them, okay? All right, there's more signs in there. It talks about that. All right, notice that this sign, I like this one right here. It talks about preparing a stop sign ahead, and so on and so forth. So be aware of most of these signs. All right, now we're talking about the one-way stops, okay, stop signs, all these no U-turn, okay, no left turn, stuff like that, wrong way signs, all right, no trucks permitted. And when they mean that, they mean like a Class B, Class C, not your truck, all right. More little signs, double white cross line, do not enter. There's the yield sign. I know if you're watching this and mom and dad ain't watching this, what I would do is go over to see mom and dad and ask them this question. And say, Mom, Dad, close your eyes. What color is the yield sign? And I promise you they'll come out and say yellow, okay? It's not. It's been red and white since 1989. It changed really early. Actually, before that, probably 1980, something like that. So be aware of all these little signs that you need to know about. School zone. This sign does not have flashing lights on the school zone. That school zone is still in effect even during summer. Okay. And now, if it has flashing lights and they're not on, then it's not in effect. All right. Okay. Interstate signs. The cool thing about the interstate signs right here is there's an odd and even. So this sign right here says 22. It is an even sign. It's only on the red, white, and blue interstate signs. And if it's a even, it runs east to west. If it's an odd, it runs north to south. So I-69 pretty much runs all the way to, gosh, I think, I don't know if it's Matagorda or in Brownsville, and runs all the way up through Nebraska and Montana, all right? I-10, it's an even number. It runs all the way from California to Florida. So be aware of those signs. That's not necessarily true on the Texas signs, so be aware of that. Okay, talks about signs. Ooh, okay, so let's do this. This will be really good. I think you'll like this. Let's do the white ones, okay? So right here, I got a dotted line. I'm not very good at drawing. And here I got a solid one line, and then here I got a solid double line, okay? So a dotted line means you can pass and you can cross, all right? A solid line means you cannot pass, but you could cross. A double solid means no pass, no cross. So if you had a double solid and you got to go to the gas station over there, usually they'll have a break in it. So it'll look like something like this. They'll have a line. Let me just draw it back here. I know I went to the next slide. So right here, it'll have a line and it'll have a break in it. It'll have a line and it'll have a break in it. And you can just go straight through. That's where you cross at. All right, so be aware of that. Just a single one, you can cross, but you can't pass. So be aware of that. Here's the road construction signs. Be aware of that. What is unique about the road construction sign is this. If you speed in it or do something wrong, it is double the fine. It is double the fine. So be aware of that. More construction signs, flagmans, talks a little bit about that. An automatic flagman assist. Okay, road construction, so be aware of that. They'll flag you on. I know now I've seen where they have stoplights. They'll have a stoplight. And so you pull up the stoplight and it turns green, and then you're able to go to the other side of the road, and the traffic, 2-3 miles down the road, they have a stoplight and theirs is red when I'm going through. So that's what they're doing when they get rid of the flagman stuff. All right, maybe out in the country they usually do use that. All right, and then there's farm vehicles, what needs to be on it, reflections and reflectors on farm equipment. Okay, on a one-way street, what color is the broken line marker? Okay, all right, the color of a one-way street is usually white, okay? So here's a trick I want to teach each and every one of y'all. This is very important. So if I'm driving and outside my window, I see only a white line, no yellows at all, no matter how many lanes across, I am driving the wrong way. The yellow will never be on your passenger side door. So be aware of that, okay? Go look at, when you're out there looking, I want you to notice when you're driving with mom and dad or whoever, look at where the yellow lines are. So be aware of that. And that's what this is sort of talking about. Describe a yield sign. It is red and white, okay? Red and white upside down triangle. What does a narrow bridge sign look like? Pretty much like this, narrow bridge. You cannot pass on that bridge 100 feet from that bridge. So once you're 5 cars from that bridge, there's no passing. You're usually not allowed to pass on a bridge. Okay, what is the shape of keep right sign? There it is. Okay, and then a slower traffic. Now you'll start seeing this in the freeway, slower traffic, keep right. All right, so just kind of be aware of those signs. Which sign tells you to slow down because you're approaching a double curve? Notice that this is a curve, not a turn. So be aware of that. What does do not pass sign mean? Just basically do not pass. And notice it's black and white. It's regulatory, so it's telling you it's a law, okay? What sign tells you to keep on the right-hand side? Slower traffic, keep right. I think we're repeating that again. What sign does yield the right-of-way mean? Okay. you should slow down or stop and necessary to yield the right of way. So it'll just be a sign that'll say yield the right of way. So, and it could also be a yield sign too. How should you react when a traffic officer tells you something? Okay, always follow the directions of what the traffic officer tells you. I actually got this question wrong. I remember this question wrong 30, 40 years ago. They asked me that. I'm like, well, what if he tells me to do something illegal? I'm not going to do it. So I didn't pick it. And I remember that. But when the officer instructs you to do something, you need to do it because they're guiding you away from whatever's going to be a collision or so forth. A green arrow on a red light means this. So notice you see the light. The green arrow means I can go left, but everybody to the right of me that's at that light has to stay. I am the only one going left, okay? Or if it's on the other side, going right. So be aware of that. How should you react to a flashing red light? Flashing red light, you treat it just like a stop sign. You know, follow your right-of-way rules. Person to the right, person going straight, big road over little road, and so forth. If I'm the first one that gets there first, I get to go first. What sign tells you to watch for train? Usually it's either a railroad crossing, a circle, a crossbar, or the bar like that. Every one of those mean yield to the train. So if you see that and you don't yield to the train, no matter whether the bar was down or not, and you get hit by the train's going to win 99% of the time. Okay? We always say you got to yield to pedestrians, right? That they have the right of way. When it comes to the train always has the right of way. All right? Describe the signs that warns you to a winding road. There it is. Okay? What sign indicates a road that merges with another? Right here. We actually call this an unhappy sign. If you're ever driving with this, the reason we call it an unhappy sign is because basically two lanes are merging together. So you got to kind of watch that other lane. What kind of sign warns you of a highest, safest speed? Okay, notice what they're telling you. The highest, safest speed of this curve is about 35 miles an hour. If you take it at 60, all right, and lose control and get a wreck, guess what? You will get a ticket. It probably won't get you a ticket if you went over the speed limit 90% of the time. But if you get in a wreck, this is one you're going to get in a wreck, they're going to give you a ticket for. Describe this sign that tells you to watch for cross traffic. There it is. It's sort of a crossbar sign. What type of sign warns you that you should slow down for a sharp rise in the roadway? A bump. Okay? Not a low place, a bump. All right. What conditions you must always stop? Red light, flashing light, stop sign, officer instruction to stop, when a yield sign when oncoming traffic are coming, and a crosswalk. What does the posted speed limit sign mean? It means that is the speed limit. Could I get a ticket going 5 miles an hour? Your mom and dad say no. Could I get a ticket going 10 miles an hour? Mom and dad may say no. But they are totally wrong. I can get a ticket going 55 miles an hour. Why? If it's raining cats and dogs or it's fog and I can't see and I'm going 55 miles an hour and that's the speed limit, the ticket doesn't say, woohoo, you're a speeder. It says you are driving too fast for conditions. Okay? So be aware that I can get a 5 over, 10 over, or going the speed limit, or going under the speed limit. All right? So just be aware of that. When a driver is waiting to make a left turn, what is the procedure they should do at the green light turn? Okay, you turn left. Okay, so what we're talking about is this, guys. We're talking about this. You're at a light and you have a circle, okay? And it's all filled in, so it's a circle. Just a green, I can't color it in. But anyway, it's just a green dot, all right? And I'm going to make a left turn. What they're saying is I can go if it's a green arrow, but if it's just a green dot, it means I got to yield to the oncoming traffic coming at me. Okay, that's what we're talking about in the opposite direction. So be aware of that. Left turn arrows, I'm free. I'm the only one going. Green dots, I'm not the one going. Green, yellow arrows, I'm not the only one going, okay? There's still people coming straight. I must yield to them. What sign warns you that you must slow down? Usually diamond-shaped sign is going to warn you about those, all right? All right, chapter 6. Here we go, chapter 6. All right, so we just started chapter 6. This is signaling, passing, and turning, all right? So signaling, you must always give a signal. Usually it's about 100 feet out. 100 feet is about 5 cars. We say every car is at least 20 feet long, so that's 5 cars out, which is 100 feet, okay? Signal when you change lanes, make a turn, pull away from a parking space, slow down and stop, enter and leave the highway, and pull over the side. One of the biggest things I mark off on the driving test. So we're in the parallel parking. So we're sitting there. Now we're going to pull out of the parallel parking spot, all right? And the kids will just pull out of the parallel parking spot. They won't look over their shoulder and see if there's a car coming by. So always when you're pulling away from a curve or out of your parallel parking, look over that shoulder, because on the test it's -2 or 3 points. You don't look over the shoulder. Passing, when keeping the right, we're going to look at the pavement markings within 100 feet, you know, so forth. All right, pass another vehicle on a 2 or 3 lane street. Make sure there's clearance. There's not another car. There's not a curve you don't see around the car. Make sure it's dotted lines on your side that you can actually do that. All right. How to pass a 2-lane road. We talked about that. Make sure it's clear. All right. Also, you got when you're passing on a multi-lane road, you got little blind spots. We have a word called let's see if I can pull it up here. We call it smog, S-M. My spelling's going to be bad here. O and then G. Okay. Signal, mirror, over the shoulder, go. So I'm going to signal. I'm going to check my mirrors. Looks good. All my mirrors look good. I'm going to look over my shoulder, and then I'm going to go. I'm not going to look over my shoulder and go at the same time. You see what I'm saying? It's over the shoulder, back, and then go. So be aware of that when you're changing lanes. If you kind of mess one of these on the test, signals 2 points, mirrors 2 points, over the shoulders 2 points, and if you don't kind of speed up in there to get in that lane, that's 2 points. So be aware of that. They can mark a lot of points off on that. All right. All right, we'll talk about lanes. So if I got a street here like this, okay, and then a street here. I know this drawing does not look good. And so I got a 2-lane street. So here, this is a 2-lane street. I can't leave my car, go wide, and then come back over. I always say this, if you go wide, just stay wide, okay? But try to always go into the first lane, the very first lane coming to you. Try not to go wide on it. Remember, you're trying to prove to me that you can make the first lane. If you keep going wide all the time, I just think, well, God, he's sorry, he can't make the line, all right? So be aware of that. All right, questions. When should you never drive on the left half of the roadway within many feet of the intersection? They're going to talk about it's 100 feet. Remember that number, guys, 100 feet, 5 cars from there. All right. What should you do if you discover you are in the wrong lane and the turn as you enter the intersection, continue straight and so forth? This is one of my test questions on the permit test and quiz. So if all of a sudden I just discover I'm driving along, I discover the right lane, I can't just stop in the middle road, change lanes, and then make my turn. I need to go past the intersection, either U-turn and come back, or go past the intersection, get in the shopping center or whatever, cut back through, and then come through. Okay? So try not to stop, try not to just turn from the lane anyway. I know that's what mom and dad do, or you've seen people do, so be aware of that. Under what circumstance should I never pass a car? All right. Pavement signs prohibit that. 2 or more traffic lanes in each direction within 100 feet of a crossing or intersection, on a hill or other place of vision within 100 feet of bridge, viaduct, or tunnel. So be aware of that. Okay. Under what conditions should I overtake a passing vehicle? It's not permitted. Okay, obviously when the cars are parked on the roadway, there's no paved shoulder, driving multiple lanes, and not blocking traffic. All right, Chapter 7, Parking Stop. Hey guys, just hit the next button to continue the rest of the slide. I had to break this part up in 2 parts. I didn't want it to be too long on YouTube. So hit the next button. We'll see you on the next slide.